Good evening and welcome. I'm Bob Pace, and here you are joining me tonight to fight CPS and stop taking our children. This is a live broadcast from Southern California at Surf City, USA. And I want to really encourage you and thank you for finding me. You found me on Facebook fighting CPS. So it seems like StreamYard has changed. The place where I usually sign in is no longer there, and I need some additional help to understand the changes and where I'm supposed to find. It took me a little while. It took me almost 20 minutes to get on the show here. So anyway, I'm glad you're here, and I'm here to help you fight CPS and stop taking our children. Now, CPS is what I call the child protection system. It's a public entity run by the government, a branch of social services. Its sole purpose, or purposes, I should say plural, is to protect our children from abuse and neglect, and also help out family in needs of food, clothing, education for the children, medical for everyone there, and also to find a job, work. That's what they're supposed to be doing. If you're in hardship times, you need help. That is the government agency that's supposed to help you. Furthermore, they're supposed to do family reunification. When they need to take apart your family and take your children because supposedly they're in imminent danger, they need to do what's called family reunification. And sad to say that the CPS that I'm talking about isn't doing that. And that varies from state to state. Each state's different. Each county's different. The way it works is the federal government actually has three histories of the child protection system. The first one is from the 1600s to 1875. And then the next section is from 1875 to 1962, and then from 1962 to the present. And it seems like the present time, the CPS has been corrupt. It's all about money. Right now, the federal government gives money to the state, who in turn gives it to the county. There's no accountability for that money. They're not transparent, and they have no idea where the money is being spent. And they have exorbitant prices that they pay the children. Like one child, in in Orange County, they get the agency there, the CPS agency there, gets $20,000. I know firsthand because I was involved in CPS. And so with three children, that's $60,000. And so if you have a family of, say, 100 families with three children each, that's $6 million. That's a lot of money. And they use it to pay sanctions and bonuses to social workers. Our social worker was always excited about how much money she can make by keeping her children in foster care. And that's another thing. Foster care is corrupt. Foster care is corrupt. It isn't what it's supposed to make out to be. CPS enlisted or asked parents to become foster care parents, but they go through very little training and they're not vetted, meaning they don't know their background. And so children are put in these foster care families and are abused. They're abused by the foster care children. And I'm talking about hard abuse. There's rape and physical abuse and molestation that takes place all the time in foster care. If you want to adopt a child, it takes a lengthy process. It takes a couple years and a lot of money, and you get vetted a lot before they put a child with you. But because CPS makes it so simple to become a foster parent, because the purpose of them is to get more children in foster care to make more money. It's $1 trillion business. It's $1 trillion business. And they're corrupt all the way from the top all the way down. They're corrupt. And you're going to find a horrible experience because your children will be taken from you. They're not in imminent danger. They just aren't protecting the kids that much. I know with anyway, my young son just came home, and so I was talking to him for a second about dinner and stuff. And so I'm glad you're here because I too have been very abused and hurt. My wife and I have been very demoralized in the CPS. They're very corrupt. They lie. They will actually do revenge. They made it so bad that they stole our child, one of our children, permanently. And how they did it was atrocious. The way they did it, it's like it's really a shameful things out there. Now you found me on Facebook, and hopefully you will get some of you into my room here. And I'm glad that you're here. We got YouTube up and working, so we should get some people from YouTube and from Facebook. I'm broadcasting on YouTube. I'm using the StreamYard application. It seems like the StreamYard has now gone through a lot of changes, and hopefully I can meet with my show producer and talk to her about the changes so I understand where everything's at. But I'm here, and I'm glad you joined me in this room. And I really want to make this helpful for you to get your children back, It's a hard thing to have to fight CPS when they're corrupt. And they are very, very, very corrupt. And so, with that being said, I'm glad that you're here. Now, there's several ways you interact with this podcast. One of the first ways is trying to there. By just being in this room and listening is one way to interact. You can do emojis like put thumbs up, or you can show hearts, or you can put smiley faces. Also, you can show stars. You can appreciate with stars. I'm sorry for the background noise that's happening, but I'm doing this from home, and it's hard for my family sometimes to be quiet while they eat. But anyway, emojis are nice. Also, if you want to subscribe to my podcast, you can click below. And then also, if you want to be notified of my upcoming shows, please check that box. The second way of interacting with this podcast is to hold on a second. Okay, it's hard for me to compete here with. I'm sorry. It's just I just seem to get no respect. Okay, a second way is that maybe you want to have questions. All right. We have someone that wants to call in ahead of time, which is okay. Hello, Bob Pace here.
Hey, Bob Pace, this is Jason Hesh.
Yeah, Jason Hesh. I'm just right in the beginning of my phase. I haven't done my phone calls yet, but could you be patient and wait
Okay.
for a few minutes while I finish my introductions?
Okay.
Yeah,
No problem.
hang on a second there, and I'll be right with you, Justin. You're from where? Where are you from, Justin?
Jason, that's Jason. It's Jason.
Where are you
I'm
from?
Southern California.
Okay, Jason. I'll be right with you in a second here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, this is directed to all my listeners right there. If you want to type in a comment, all you have to do is ask a question about CPS. A question about CPS. Please show your name. Your first name is all I need to see. The city or the county and the state. Now, if you're from a country, I welcome you because I have right now 14 countries that have text comments in. And be complete with your CPS case. The third way to interact with this podcast is to be a guest on my podcast. And to be a guest, you're going to contact my show producer who will help you get on. All you need to do is tell them the time and the day that you want to be on. Now, I'm on 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday, and my time is 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time for 30 minutes. And then my time again in the evening is 7 o'clock Pacific Time for 30 minutes. Now, there is an exception on Sunday, which is like tomorrow. I'll be on at 8 o'clock in the morning because I go to church. And then October 4th, I'll be going to a football game next Friday night. It's Friday Night Lights. And I'll come on at 4 o'clock. Those are the only exceptions. So you pick one of those dates and those times. I'm doing Bob's morning show on Sunday or evening show on Saturday. You email that to Grace at vincentwdavis.com, and she'll put you on the podcast. And she'll give you a link to be on the podcast. We use StreamYard to talk there. So all you need to do is do that, and she'll take care of the rest of what you need to do and how to be a guest and so forth. Now, the final way to interact with this podcast is to call my number. Now, my number now is live, and I have right now Jason, and it's 626-598-0990. And I can take calls during my show, but I can't take calls before or after my show. So anyway, that number's up, and I'm going to let Jason go first since he called in. And Jason, what can we do for you? What would you like to talk about?
Well, I would just like to talk about, of course, you guys all know the criminally corrupted CPS or DC or DFCS or whatever how they call themselves now.
Yeah.
And I've had them illegally kidnap 5 of my babies in a row.
Wow.
And I've had them put me in jail over false allegations of terrorist threats against a family court judge and 5 or 6 of their so-called social workers, which they weren't.
Right. Now,
So, I mean,
can you start at the start at the beginning, Jason, of what the makeup of your family? Are you a married man? Are you the father of all the babies?
Yes, I'm a father of all 5. Same mother, of course, but we haven't been married yet.
Okay, so you are just girlfriend and boyfriend?
Yeah, you can say that, I guess.
Our partners. You could be partners. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that would have helped anything.
Okay.
In the beginning.
Well, is she still involved with you?
What a lot of Americans don't know is the truth. I'm pretty sure you know the truth. A lot of people are afraid to speak the truth about this agency.
Yeah, I know it's corrupt. I've talked to over 500 people, and believe me, I've not heard anybody say anything positive about social workers. So I know what you're going through, where they kidnap children and take children. Now, in the beginning, what were the allegations? What happened in the very beginning?
General neglect.
Okay. Well, did they suddenly appear at your door? Did they show up at your door, or did you see them? Did you come up to your house?
They showed up at the hospital.
Oh, show up at the hospital.
They showed up at the hospital. Yes.
So you had 5 children at the hospital. Why were all 5 children at the hospital?
Yeah.
Well,
Say that again.
you said that he took your children from the hospital. Were all 5 children sick or ill?
Yeah, newborn.
Oh,
Newborns.
you
Like,
had
literally straight off my
quintuplets.
fiance's,
You had
breast.
quintuplets. You had quintuplets, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and
No. This was back. This was in a row, but not. I didn't have them all at once. Don't get me wrong on that.
well,
This was,
I'm okay. I've not been
throughout.
present and when this all happened, and I'm trying to help our listeners and myself understand your scenario. So you
Yeah.
go to the hospital,
Yeah.
and you have a child at the hospital, and that child's taken. Did a year lapse and the next child was
Yeah.
taken, and a year lapse and the next child was taken, or how did
Yeah.
it? So
Something like that
over a
sequence,
span
yeah.
of 5 years, you went to the hospital, and each time the child's taken. Why is the child taken each time? What is the neglect in the hospital?
So-called general neglect.
Well, okay, but
they
they got to have. Okay, first of all, why did you allow them into the birthing room?
No, it wasn't into the birthing room. This is just directly after birth. They showed up with these false allegations.
Well, I mean, why did you allow them into the room? Because they have to have a court order.
At first, well, they used the police to come in.
Well, the police can't. Okay, now the police can only come in to arrest you. They can only come in to arrest you. So, what were you doing to your children when you brought them in medically?
What can I do to my children? I don't abuse my children. I didn't even.
I'm not saying you didn't, but the police, in order for them to come in, okay, for order for the police to get into your medical issues of your children, they either have to have a warrant or they have to have a reason to arrest you on the spot.
Well, I was never arrested for any of that.
Well, then they can't take your children. They can't take your children. And I know that you didn't know that. I didn't know that in my case. But police cannot take your children. CPS cannot take your children.
No, the police, they did.
Well, they did because you gave them permission. Because you gave them permission. You should have told them, no, and I need to contact my attorney, be present. I'll get back to you. You have to make an appointment. You see, a lot of people forget. Like if you go see a doctor, don't you make... Okay, I'm trying to help you. Okay, right. I'm trying to help you. Yeah. Do we have someone else listening in the background?
Yeah, I got my fiance in the background.
Okay.
Hear me out real quick.
The girl that you... Well, I can hear you out, but...
I'll give you...
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll give you... Look, I have it. I have one of my when my newborn son was born. I have it on. I have everything on audio, video, and this is exactly what I went through. She's pulling up the video right now. It's been in a CPS documentary. My video. You got to watch the video, and this will be a good video for you and your viewers to see. And this is exactly what they do over here in Southern California. You see this video? It's about.
Are you in the Orange County? Are you in the Orange County CPS? San Bernardino. All right. So you're in the San Bernardino CPS. All right.
Yeah. So I'm gonna send you the video, and this is excellent evidence of what goes down over here in San Bernardino County because I have it documented.
I'm not saying what you're showing me is not. I'm trying to understand because the way the police are supposed to work, sheriffs and social workers, there are grounds that they violated your civil rights, your constitutional rights, or they took your children. Okay.
Violated to the fullest, Bob. Violated to the fullest.
I was taken at birth myself.
So,
your fiance was taken.
Video,
your fiance was.
Yeah. Yeah, she would like to say something to you if possible, Bob.
Sure. What is her first name?
Brianna.
Hello?
Yeah. Hello, Brianna. What would you like to say?
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you also.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that right now.
I said very nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you.
Oh. Yeah, to answer a couple of your questions, you see, I have more how would you say, experience, considering I was taken at birth. So, I mean, that only pretty much explains it all. If you
How were you taken? How were you taken at birth? Did your mom just have the baby and they popped in? They said, "We need your children."
In a similar fashion, yes. But the allegations, because everything was allegations. But by that I mean, the sad thing about everything is another thing that a lot of Americans or just people in general don't know is that anyone can make an anonymous phone call.
Yes, the layperson, 50% of the lay people that call in falsify what the thing is. Now, he said you were charged neglect. What can he kind of explain when you were a child and you were taken from your mother? What was?
I was barely born. I was a newborn taken.
Right. Because did your mother test positive?
My mom did it.
Yeah. Did your mother test positive with drugs?
No, not that I know. I don't remember.
So what was the allegation? What was
even if that was the case, the thing where I'm trying to say here is anybody can say anything, whether it's this or that, and so I want people to understand out there and in the audience or just in general, whoever watches this video, is that it's kind of silly in a sense. I mean, I understand, yes, things like that is a serious thing, but that should not be the main focus. The focus should be on the point and the fact that it's ridiculous that anybody can say anything, whether it's true or not. And majority of the times, a lot of the things that us parents go through, just in general, is not even true. Even if it was true, there's due process, and they're not doing any of that. So
they don't have due process.
Well, no, they're corrupt. To get me from point A to point Z, I need to fill in all the answers. So I'm first dealing with your case, trying to understand how you were abducted by the police or the social workers, because they cannot take you. There's only 3 ways that they can take your children. 1, you give them permission. 2, there's domestic violence going on, and they have to march in and protect your child. Whether you guys got weapons or not, they will do it. That's the second thing. The third thing is they have to have a court order. Anything else is wrong. And that's where they use an intimidation, and you have to know that as an attorney. Now, what you can do is you can tell them to leave the hospital room, tell the doctor, tell the manager that they need to wait outside.
I did that.
Well, you're a baby. You wouldn't know that. You were a baby, and your mother didn't know that.
Yeah.
So you were taken right away.
I caught on. I did. I actually caught on to, their little scheme. I finally figured it out. I said, you know what? I wonder if it's my name. I don't know why. I just thought that one day. And so one of the times that I went to deliver one of my children, I changed my name. And the crazy part is that seemed to work.
Well, they have a record. You have to understand, when you yourself was taken by CPS, that record will carry on to your future. 99% of the people that get taken at birth because they're in foster care themselves. I have a girl on here from Kentucky, Faye, who was in and out foster care 5 times. As soon as she had her child, they have a record. You have to erase the record of you being in foster care because they'll carry over. And if you have 5 separate births and the children were taken 5 separate times, all based on allegations, they can't. And one of the things that I've told parents and told all you out there, you need to establish to them that you have attorney. You don't need to really have one, but you can tell them, I have an attorney. I will get back to you, but you're not taking my child, and we need to make an appointment. You have to have a court order, a warrant. If they don't have a warrant, they can't take you. Now, if they want to arrest you.
I totally understand all that, and you're very correct on that. But the unfortunate part about all this is that they don't care about any of that.
I know they don't.
That's where it gets a little bit, it's not so much.
People are telling me now, they are telling me when they get a hold of their attorney and have the attorney represent them, he will stop them in their tracks. He'll stop them in their tracks. And because you have to know the law. You have to know the law. You have to know what a warrant looks like. So if you guys are fighters, I would never let them walk out with my child if I was in the delivery room or in the general medical room. I would tell them to leave the room and leave me alone and make an appointment with me, and I will have my attorney and I talk to you. There's no law that says they can take your child. You're only doing it because you're intimidated.
Well, yeah, when you got armed thugs.
Well, they can't go much further. If they go ahead and they try to put you in handcuff, you have to ask them, what am I charged with? They have to charge you with a crime.
Well, which would have been in my case, most likely and they will charge you with bogus crimes because, that's proven when they charge me with terrorist threats for something I never said or did.
Well,
recently,
yeah.
I just got, yeah. So.
Well, anyway, the damage is done. You allow them to take your children. Where are all the 5 children right now? Where are all the 5 children right now?
Bob Pace.
Yeah.
Brianna's going to send you a link, and once you see this video, you'll know exactly.
I believe you. You don't have to send me a video. I believe that they take your children. Most parents, including myself, have been duped to believe in the police and CPS workers, but they're corrupt. They are corrupt. They're not your friend, and they're going to underrate you.
My name, if you look up on YouTube, I'm very well known on Facebook. I'm a well-known advocate. Anywho's, my name is Brianna Janae Cons, BriannaJaAPostrophe NAECONS. And yeah.
Well, you can go ahead and type a comment with the link in my comment here, and I'll try to look at what you have. But I'm not doubting. I'm not doubting that you've been threatened with threats, everything like that. You see, the hardest problem you have. Do you guys have an attorney?
No.
That is your biggest obstacle. Without an attorney, you're going to go nowhere. You're going to go nowhere.
Yeah, of course. But even with an attorney, just do me a favor, Bob. If you can, really watch this video. And this is exactly how it goes down over here in Southern California, in San Bernardino. The video will explain everything. I tried. The video explains everything. All you got to do is watch it and listen. And this will explain to your viewers nationwide. And I'm pretty sure a lot of your viewers have gone through similar things such as this. But then this video has from me attempting to not let them take my kid, all the way from me being escorted out of the hospital by multiple security people and police. It has the whole 9 yards are in there. And
yeah, but if you get an attorney involved, you have to see. You need an officer of the court. An attorney is an officer of the court. Now, they do provide you an attorney, but that attorney, that court-appointed attorney, is a waste of time. They will do nothing for you.
Of course.
They will do nothing for you.
Of course.
And I have an attorney that is a fighter, and CPS cringes when I say the name. His name is Vincent W. Davis, and he does fight CPS. Yeah. He has sued them and won millions of dollars in civil lawsuits against them. They can be sued.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, they can be sued, but they can't be arrested. They can't be charged criminally because there's no agency.
If they do a criminal act, for instance, if they do a criminal act, you can call the police and say that my children are being stolen, and you can give the name of the agency. I don't know if it's the sheriff that came. Was it San Bernardino Sheriff, or was it the city of San Bernardino?
I did all that.
Or which?
I did all that.
Which police force was it?
I did all that, Bob.
Okay.
I contacted the FBI. I've contacted the sheriffs. I contacted the city police, and they're all no help. No help.
They're in cahoots. Well, you're going to have to get an attorney. The only way you're going to fight your case is to get a fighter for you. You need an attorney. Because if you've exhausted your sources, have you gone to your congressman or your congresswoman?
Yes, we've done all that, and there's no help from none of them.
Well, I know one way you can go to the Capitol building. There is a phone number that you can get the operator there. They do talk to you. I was trying to talk to Senator Schumer, who's in New York, about a case in Kentucky. And so there is ways you can do it. The federal agency in charge, the Human and Welfare Group there, has the ways you can fill out a complaint form. They will respond. There's a lot of things you have to go through. You're going to have to go through hoops and hurdles. The best way I tell people, go with the flow of things. Do what they ask you. They will eventually give your children. They just want to collect money from you. That's all they want your children for, is they want money. And they love for you to fight them. They love for you to...
Not only that, they don't... See, Bob, no, they don't just want the money. They their main goal recently, and I think it's always been, is to break up the family, the family homes.
Well, that's how they get the money. That's how they get the money. When they break up the family unit, they're hoping that you, first of all, don't have the money for attorney. They're hoping you're low income.
Which most people don't.
Yeah, I realize that.
Yeah.
They're hoping. I mean, I didn't have money for my attorney. I had to sell my home. I worked 45 years to get my home. And I sold my home to get the money to fight the child protection services and also the police.
It's CPS, Bob, is it's part of it. It's to break up the family unit. Weakens our country, it weakens our neighborhoods, it just weakens everything, and it's easier for the government to control a single mother and children. And then, like in my case, they tried to put me away. I almost got life for this.
Well, there are actually men and women I've talked to on the show that have been incarcerated because of that wrongfully, and eventually they get an attorney, and they eventually get their act cleaned up, and they do lawsuits, they win millions of dollars. It does take time. It's not going to be overnight, and you can't fight the system. You can sit there and tell our government's corrupt. You can storm the Capitol building, but the only way you're going to make changes is you have to do it peacefully and with attorneys. You have to fight. Now, collectively, if all of you chip in for an attorney can fight it. You just got to find that right fighter.
Well, I don't know if you heard of Nancy Schaefer.
Yes, she died. She died.
She's a great, she was murdered.
I know she was murdered. I know who she is. There are lots of Nancy Schaefers.
Yeah.
I can tell you some other names of people that have died or people that have been eliminated. I know it's a corrupt system, and we're not going to make changes on this show or overnight. People every year go to Sacramento and do protesting. Protesting is great. But the only way you're going to make changes is you got to get involved in the politics. You got to be a politician to make changes.
Well, yeah, you're right on that end. But I mean, as history has shown, Bob.
Well, like you take, have you ever heard of the guy named Tom Hayden? During the Vietnam War, him and Jane Fonda and Tom Hayden used to fight the government. He got involved in politics, and that's where he was able to make changes. Tom Hayden was a U.S. government, but he's also an activist in the 60s during the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And Jane Fonda was too. And Jane Fonda was an activist too. The problem is you got to get involved in politics to make changes. Nancy was a politician, but she was murdered.
Yes.
She was murdered.
Yes.
So I'm just saying, if you want to make these changes, you got really three courses you could do. One, you could do nothing. Two, you could go with the flow and do what they ask you to do and try to get an attorney. Or three, you can fight them by being a politician. By not being a politician, you won't be able to make changes. Right now, I have a girl, her name is Faye, in Richmond, Kentucky. For 13 years, she's been trying to open up her case. She finally got it open because they have a new cabinet in Richmond, Kentucky, and they're now considering her case where they stole her child for no reason. They let her keep her son, who's a special needs. And how can she be a good parent for a special needs son and not a good parent for her child? that was wrong. So
Exactly.
I'm telling you
Yeah.
that it's no easy, Jason. I know this is stuff you don't want to hear, and I know that you're really aggravated because your 5 babies are taken from you for whatever reason. You said neglect, and it's probably not true, but they are going to try to do that, and they love people that fight them, like you. Like if you sit there and tell them off or do things because they want to trap you, they want to arrest you, they want to find you committing a crime, so you get so angry.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
But you got to be peaceful. It's
You know.
hard thing to be peaceful, and you got to get involved. You yourself should run for Congress. You should run for Congress, be a senator or representative. I know it does take money. So, the only way you're going to make changes in this country is to be a politician. And that's how our government runs. It's run by politics, whether at the local level,
Yeah, I know.
or at the state level or the federal level. There's 3 levels you can get participating in, and so I know the video that you're going to send me because I've seen hundreds of videos like that, like your case. You're not the first person from San Bernardino that took away 5 or 6 or 10 children, and you're not the first person that. And I know your case is important. I cry out to you. I feel your pain, your frustration. I have a daughter. Get this. She was 12 years at the time when she was taken from me. And because the social worker committed perjury on the witness stand in front of my attorney pulled out, she was lying about these parents that wanted to adopt our daughter. And she pulled out all these domestic violence cases and told the social worker, well, you just told me that the parents are great. Well, I got these reports that they did physical domestic violence. And she was embarrassed and she stepped down out of the court, but she did something that I did not think would happen. She retaliated. She convinced our daughter, who was 12 at the time, I want you to divorce your parents. You can emancipate them at age 12, and that you can change your name and you can seal your birth certificate and be adopted by foster care. And she did all those things. She didn't know what she was doing. And she's 22 now. And my sons see her, but her mom and dad don't see her. We love our daughter immensely. She's now living with her older daughter, living there because the foster care people hurt our daughter while she was in their custody. Foster care people are not trained. They're not vetted. They do molestation. They will attack children. Their own children will molest the children, will hurt the children. My sons that were in foster care, whether in the group home or single family home, were hurt, physically hit in the head, or told not to drink orange juice or go to bed. I can tell you personally firsthand what you're going through. But to change it, you got to sit there and analyze. You got to analyze, okay, what are the cases? And it has to be more than neglect. They got to give detail than neglect. They got to give detail than neglect. And neglect is too vague. Abuse and neglect are general terms. Where you're not feeding your child, where you leave them alone and not supervising them.
No, they were newborns.
Well, this is what I'm asking you. You need to ask the CPS. What are the details? What is neglect? What did I do that's wrong? And what parenting class can I take to improve my situation? What program can I take? Go ahead.
I know about. I'm sorry, but here's the thing. Let me tell you about the allegations or whatever the packet when you go to court for. Let's just say I'm going to talk about the parental rights.
That's called dependency court, where they find you guilty or not, and they talk about your plan. That's dependency court.
I'm in court with my daughter and my newborn son. They got them together in court. I go through the motions. I take the witness stand. Okay, are you following this? So I'm on the witness stand. My attorneys did excellent. We blew them out of the water. So it came down to the so-called child's attorneys that were representing my babies.
Right.
Asked me a question about my daughter. Okay, because my sister-in-law had taken my daughter. We had full custody of my daughter. I got her back from San Diego CPS, who tried that shit with me at the hospital.
Now, what were you doing in
They
San
took
Diego
my
when you're in
daughter.
San Bernardino?
Yeah.
I'm confusing. Why are you in San Diego?
I had one. One of them was in San Diego. So San Diego CPS tried it with me. So they took my daughter.
But why would you go
days.
from San Bernardino to San Diego to have a baby?
Well, jobs. I was out of job location at the time.
Oh, okay.
So,
So your job took you down there. So you and your wife had the baby in San Diego. Where the other four babies, were they born in San Bernardino?
So my first baby was in San Bernardino. The second one we had in San Diego. So they showed up in San Diego at the hospital, just like San Bernardino CPS came with the police, took my baby, but I ended up getting her back because I wasn't having none of this shit. So San Diego did the right thing, and I got my baby back. So we come back to San Bernardino, and I had let my sister-in-laws take my daughter, and they ended up keeping my daughter. Literally kidnapped my daughter. I contacted.
Why did you give them to your sister-in-law? Why did you give your third child to your sister-in-law?
Well, because I didn't give it to her. They were going to take her for a visit. You know what I mean? So I didn't suspect or expect them to.
So your sister-in-law, that's called child kidnapping. You could file a police report that your sister-in-law kidnapped your child.
I did, Bob. I am telling you, I got no help from the police. So I tried to put an Amber Alert out and everything. So this is where it's leading up to where when we had our son, who's a newborn, my sister-in-laws, who had my baby for over almost a year, turned my baby into the CPS, my daughter with my newborn, so they both were on the same case. So I'm in court, and the child's attorneys asked me a question. How was my daughter doing? Well, she's with family, so I wasn't worried too much about that. So, I mean, I know that she wasn't neglected or mistreated or abused in any way. So that question to me is a very important question. So I'm on the stand, and I tell the attorney when she asked me that, I said, well, she's all right. She's cool. You know, I mean, she's with family. So I wasn't, like I said, worried about her being abused. I mean, the kidnapping part is a different thing. So my answer was, she's all right. She's cool. That was my exact words. Now, when it came down to the judge's final, determining whether I was going to have my rights terminated or not, it wasn't because of the allegations, all those false allegations the packet that they had originally. He took my rights away, and this is on the court type trial documents. I have them handy. He did not give me my kids back. He took my rights away because he felt my answer. When they asked me how was my daughter doing, was not emotionally or how can I say it? That's why he took my kids away. That's why he terminated my rights.
Well, no. You could have said, I don't know how my daughter's is because my what's it called, stepmom or stepsister? What is it that stole your child?
Yeah, but that's not in all. In any shape, way, or form, regardless of my answer, that's not the reason that they originally took my kids. So, I mean, for him to say that I can't have my rights or I can't have my kids back because he felt my answer wasn't good enough, my kids weren't taken over an answer.
Well, they should know. You should have told them again. You didn't have an attorney, or you didn't use your court-appointed attorney to answer the question right.
Well, I mean, but still, that's no reason.
But what you think is rational, they don't. You see, you're dealing with corruption, and they're gonna try to trick you. And I'm trying to tell you, you can be very upfront with them and say, "Yeah, I reported my daughter kidnapped by so and so, and San Bernardino police refused to lodge in my complaint." Then you can go to the San Bernardino chief of police and put a complaint, or you can go to the Sacramento. Okay, you can go to the FBI. And what did the FBI tell you? What did the FBI tell you?
Nothing. They would not help. Nobody would help at all.
That's
telling you,
hard to
man,
believe unless they have a record. If you have a record of maybe of civil unrest or you're fighting the system, they're not. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. If
You
somebody
must have a
has
bad track
I mean,
record.
If you have a record of child abuse or whatever, I can understand. But anything other than that, or like if you're a pedophile or something, I can understand that. Totally understand that. But anything else, it shouldn't even be a factor. And if you have two parents who want to be parents, they should be allowed to be parents, regardless, because ain't nobody going to take care of those kids better than the parents. And I understand there's a lot of babies that don't have parents that want to be in their lives, and that's what CPS should be for. But they love those type of babies because they just get funneled into oblivion with the corrupted system. What I don't know. It's a difficult subject, Bob. I really don't want to disrespect you or anybody else.
Oh no, I'm not disrespecting you. You're in a system, and you're like in a cage, and you're trying to claw your way out of this ridiculous thing that your 5 babies have been taken.
I mean, look what they did to Nancy Schaefer, Bob. You know as well as I do, they murdered that lady. But after she read her report about shutting down the whole entire nationwide network of CPS, DCF, or whatever the hell they call themselves, after she read that report, which clearly stated it needed to be shut down nationwide, people needed to go to jail, she was murdered instantly, which they declared a murder-suicide, her and her husband, which is bullshit, excuse my language. You know that, and I know that. Anybody that does any of those type of reports ends up mysteriously having an accident or dead. We have lawyers here in San Bernardino. We have lawyers across our state. If they get too powerful against the CPS, they end up having accidents. And it's just so if they're I mean, they do whatever they need to do to keep themselves going. And unfortunately, they're the ones that are committing violence. They're committing murders, physical kidnappings. They use the police to intimidate. So how are you supposed to fight back peacefully or through politics when the politicians are the ones that are? I mean, even if you're in politics, look at Nancy Schaefer. She's a great American hero of mine. I love that lady. She was a politician, and as soon as she put that report out, she's dead. So I mean,
well, I don't know the true who murdered her. I've heard that her husband did, but
no, Bob, you can't sit here and really believe. I know you know better than that. As soon as she read that report, you know the report I'm talking about. You should.
Yeah, I do.
She was found murdered, dead. And that's not by coincidence. She had no reason to be murdered, and neither did her husband. I mean, she was retired at the time, but her report says it all. I just find that not even strange. It's just that report right there. She was spot on, and I don't know. Maybe you could read that report out to your viewers one day, because that would shed a lot of light on what's really going on. So they don't play peaceful. They don't play. They play by their rules. And
well, she was a long-time congresswoman. Died.
Yes, she was a great congresswoman, and that report that she read basically would have shut down. I mean, there would have eliminated CPS. She said the whole new program was needed, because this one was obviously not working for what it was made for. And,
well, the news reporter 5 years ago has said it was a murder-suicide, supposedly by her husband.
Yeah, who does that? Open shut case that fast with a politician after she reads a report like that? Come on. If you believe that, I don't know. I think you know better, Bob. I know you're an attorney, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm not an attorney. I'm a 73-year-old loving father with 6 children. I've been through 2 marriages, and I've been married for 32 years. And I, unfortunately, at the age of 65, had my children taken away from me, and I've had to fight them. And, it's hard enough trying to get a job, let alone,
Yeah, exactly.
fighting
I know exactly
CPS.
what you're saying. So like anybody that advocates against them, that gets too powerful and they're advocating, will end up having an accident mysteriously, or end up murdered.
Well, look at Donald Trump. Look at Donald Trump.
Yeah,
I mean,
Trump, I love Donald Trump.
Donald Trump right now has been shot twice. He has been also attempted to blow him up with a car recently. He's accused of every crime there is in New York or whatever state he's in. He's so like that. They're not going to stop. No, they don't want somebody, and this isn't a show to support Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. Harris, you need somebody that has experience. It takes a rocket scientist. If you have two candidates, which one is better? This thing about downplaying somebody because they don't speak the same language and they tell a spade is a spade, he's a fighter. He's a fighter. And
well, he's a fighter. He's I don't want to turn this into a political thing.
Yeah.
Anybody listening should just, it's common sense, Bob. It's common sense.
Yeah.
People just have to use common sense. Were we better off 4 years ago, or are we better off now? That's what it breaks down to.
Yeah, that's a simple way to acknowledge it. I know that there was a gas line being built from Canada to the U.S. that our President Biden shut down, and then there was the closed borders system, and then the borders were opened up, and now they're trying to, at the last bit of elections, trying to say that they have a solution to the border.
Yeah, well, it's getting close to the election, so they're trying to make themselves look good. See, when you say you fight it politically, it's almost impossible to fight it politically when you have two politically corrupted parties going head-to-head amongst themselves.
Well, I don't know if the Republicans are more corrupt than Democrats or vice versa. The difference is everybody is paid money. All politicians are paid money. Yeah. Trump is the only one that says, I don't want your money as president of the United States. I don't want to be paid.
Yeah.
I'm a businessman. I'll run this country like it's a business, and I'll help out the people in this country.
And he did. That's the closest thing to an American president that we have.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, I want to curtail us talking because we have right now about 5 minutes left of my podcast, and I do want to give a little spiel about the attorney that sponsors this podcast. Just wait a second, Jason.
Okay,
I'm going to talk about Vincent W. Davis. He is a dependency family juvenile attorney. He's been fighting CPS for 35 years. He's a trial attorney. He's the real deal, and he'll fight cases in San Bernardino. He's from Arcadia, but he also will fight Northern California. He has a case up there, several in the Southern California area, and then he has one in Oklahoma. He'll fight anywhere. And what he does, he knows how to fight CPS. He's not afraid to stand up for them. And I want to tell you that I've done a special thing with Mr. Davis. He does his own podcast. He produces his podcast. My thanks go out there. But I've gotten him to do a Zoom consultation with anybody that'd like to talk to him for 30 minutes. All you need to do to book that Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis for 30 minutes is go to https:// CLENDLY.com/apps APPTS/VWD/Bob Pace BOBPACE. When you go there, he'll charge you. I got a special rate of $60 for 30 minutes, but he'll talk to you about how to navigate with CPS, how to defend your children, and if you want to retain him, he'll talk about his retainer, and he is eligible to retain it. He's the best around. He will do a lawsuit, civil lawsuits. He's won civil lawsuits. He won millions of dollars, both in state court and federal court. He's won millions of dollars. But your case has to be closed. Your case has to be closed before you can do a lawsuit. Once your CPS case is over, it's closed, then you can do a lawsuit on your constitutional and civil rights that are violated. If a social worker committed perjury under oath in the courts, they can be sued too. There's lots of ways you can sue a social worker and sue the system. But they are a $1 trillion business, social workers are. They are trillions of dollars. And they have lots of money. They have powerful attorneys. But Mr. Davis is available. So I want to tell all my listeners, including you, Jason, that you can book a discounted Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis for 30 minutes for $60. And you just go to https://candidly, CALDENDLY.com/apps, APPTS VWD /Bob Pace, BOB PACE. So I that's one of my rules, that in order to you, and I had to get an attorney, that's how I got my boys back. But even the corrupt CPS can still take your children. They took our children. And someday they'll pay for it. Because our daughter, who's 22 years old, her mother and dad every day miss her terribly. We love her to death. But she was so convinced, and my wife's family, who were the perpetrators that called in the false allegations as lay people, were behind all that. And what goes around will come around. But they have hurt our family. And our older children have taken sides with the CPS workers. So we don't have a very good family. My children are all estranged. Right now, I have my 2 sons, and my wife and I live together and trying to get back into the workforce at age 73. And I will be back working in my career. But I really strongly urge you to do that Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis. Because if you're trying to use a court-appointed attorney, everybody tells me a court-appointed attorney, they're a waste of time. They're barely into law. They just have a legal background. They don't have a dependency law background. They're not going to fight for you. They have a caseload of 30 or more clients, so they don't have time. They're too busy. They'll talk to you at the day of your hearing out in the hallway for 5 or 10 minutes. In Orange County, you're not allowed in the courtrooms. They keep the parents out. They keep the children out. The only people in there are the court-appointed attorneys for the children and the social worker attorneys, the judge, the bailiff, and the clerk. But you don't know how your case is being handled.
That's a total violation of our constitutional rights, Bob, right there.
Well, I think, first of all, I think anytime that you're charged with allegation, there should be a jury trial. See, it's the only law they have no jury trial. It's the only law that you are guilty when they call in until you're proven innocent. Every other court of law, you're innocent till you're proven guilty. But in CPS, they charge you that you're guilty. I don't know of any other law that you're demanding that you're guilty except for dependency court.
Well, no, even in the criminal justice system, Bob.
No, you're innocent until you're proven guilty. You are innocent. You are innocent. They can take you to jail. That's a temporary thing. That's called arraignment. And during the arraignment, you make your plea of guilty or not guilty. And then you have to pay what's called a bond. And you can get out on your bond. It does not cater to people that are low income. I know it's not a fair system.
Well, with any criminal charge, you can be charged, but you should not be incarcerated at all until you're convicted in a court of law by your peers.
Right. So tell me what charge you were convicted without a jail. Tell me the charge you were convicted without a jury.
Exactly. So therefore, you shouldn't be sitting in jail until you get to go to
No, jail is a temporary holding spot. It's part of the intimidation. They want to make sure that you show up for your court hearings. That's why you're in jail. I had a situation, and I don't have much time to talk to about it, but I do have to go. I don't mean to go. Thank you so much, Jason, and your fiance for taking the time to share with me anything. Please give me the link here as one of your comments so I can look at what you have here. I'm on again tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. I'm on tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. And God bless you all. And thank you very, very much for sharing your call there. And everybody else, keep trying, keep fighting. I'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock